Hi everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we are gonna cover some SQL interview questions which are based on the employee versus manager, okay? And these questions has been asked in their interviews again and again, okay? So I will request everyone to watch the video till end so that you can answer this question in your next interview, okay? So let's start. So we have this employee table which is having employee ID, employee name, manager ID, department and salary columns, okay? So based on this table, we are gonna cover 5 SQL interview questions that has been asked, okay? So let's start. So the first question is we need to find all employees who are managers. Okay. So you can clearly see here, right? In this table, I have one column which is manager ID. Okay. So this manager ID is nothing but the employee ID, right? It represents the employee ID also, right? So this manager ID is used by other employees to reference the manager, right? So you can clearly see if I can select the distinct manager ID from here, then it will simply tell me the how many employees are managers, right? For example, if you see right here manager id 1, so manager id 1 means employee id 1, right? That means Rahul. So for Ajay, Rahul is the manager, right? So that's what it means. Okay, so now let's go to the database and try to solve this question. Okay, so I already have this creative statement, insertive statement. Okay, I'll put this into my YouTube video description so that you can practice the same. Okay, so now solve, let's try to solve this first question. Okay, so what I will say, I will select the distinct manager ID, okay, from employees table, okay, where manager ID is not null. Okay, so let's execute this and see are we getting the correct output or not. Okay, so we are getting the 1 5 and 2. Okay, so you can clearly see right here also we were having 1 5 and 2. Okay, so we don't want it to fetch null because null means that manager is not present for them, right? So I hope you are able to get this question. Okay, so now let's move to the second question. List employees who don't have a manager. Okay, so basically we need to find out the employee IDs which don't have manager. Okay, so this question is also very simple, right? So wherever this manager ID is null, so those employees don't have manager, right? So for example here Rahul is not having manager here, right? Because the manager ID is null. The same goes to Sekhar, he also not having manager because manager ID is null. Okay, so let's go to database and do this. Okay, so what I will say is select distinct employee ID from employee table where manager ID is null. Okay, so let's execute this. Okay, so we are getting employee ID 1 and 5, right? So it's the correct answer, right? Because the only manager ID 1 and 5, sorry, employee ID 1 and 5 not having manager ID, right? So that's the answer. Okay, so next question is get the name of each employee along with their manager name. Okay, so now we want to fetch the employee name and the manager name. Okay, so how can we solve this question? Okay, so if you notice in this question, right, it is asking to compare the employee with the manager. Okay, so to compare I need something, right? So what I will do, I will create one more table, same table. Okay, the first table is employee and the second table I will call it as manager. Okay, so here I am gonna use the cell join so that I can fetch the employee name from the first table and the manager name from the second table. Okay, so how can we solve this question? If you see here, right, if I take the manager ID from this table, okay, let's say first table, and if I try to join it with the employee ID of the second table, then I can easily fetch the name, right? So here if you see for Ajay, the manager ID is 1. Okay. Now if I match this 1 with the employee ID 1 here, then what will I get? I will get Ajay and 1 and then Rahul. Okay. So it means for Ajay, Rahul is the manager, right? So I can simply fetch name from first table, that will be the employee name, and the name from second table, that will be the manager name, right? So that's how we can solve this question. Okay, so let's go to Databricks and try to solve it. So we will use the cell join here. Okay, so what I will do, select star from employee table and I will call it a E that represents the employee, and I will do the self join and I will again use the same table and I will call it as M stand for manager, and I will join on e dot manager id equal to m dot employee id. Okay, and I want to fetch the employee name and manager name, right? So what I will do, I will from employee table I will fetch the name, and that will be my employee name, right? And from second table I will fetch the name, that will be my manager name. Okay, so let's execute this and see are we getting the correct output or not. Okay, so for Ajay and Mohit we are getting the manager name is Rahul. Okay, let's go and verify. For Ajay and Mohit, the manager ID was 1. Okay. For 1, what is the employee ID? That is Rahul. Okay. So we are getting it correct, right? For Rakesh, the manager ID was 2. And for 2, what is the name? Ajay. We are getting we are getting here also, right? And the same goes for Alfred. Alfred is having manager Sekhar. So Alfred was having manager ID 5. For 5, we have Sekhar, right? So it's coming correct, right? So we are able to fetch the output, okay? So now let's move to the next question. Count how many employees each manager has. Okay. So this question is also very simple. What I can do for each manager, I want how many employees I have, right? So what I will do on this table, I can do group by manager ID, right? So if I do group by manager ID, I can fetch the count of each employee, right? So for one, I will get two, and for two and five, I will get one employees, right? So now let's go here and do it. Select, and I will say manager ID and count of star that I will call it as reportees from employee table group by manager ID. Okay, so let's try to execute this. Okay, so here in the output we are getting null. Okay, so let's exclude this from our output. Okay, we don't want null. Okay, we have manager ID is not null. So let's re-execute this. So you can clearly see, right, for manager ID 1 we are getting 2 reportees, and for 5 into we are getting 1, right? So that's what for manager ID 1 was having 2 reportees, Ajay and Mohit, and 2 it was having only Rakesh, and 5 only Alfred. Okay, so that's what we are getting here. Okay, so I hope you are able to get it. Okay, so now let's move to the next question. Find employees whose manager is in a different department. Okay, so again if you notice here, right, to solve this question I need something to compare. Okay, so I can use the self join, right? So for solving the third problem, what we did, we use the self join there, right? So I can use the same logic here. Okay, the only difference is at the end I just want to filter out based on the department. Okay, so now let's go and do it. Okay, so what I will do, I will use the same query. Okay, I hope you are able to get it. Okay, I'm using the same query. The only difference is I will just put where condition, and I will say e dot department, okay, not equal to m dot department. Okay, so let's execute this. So you can see we are getting Alfred and Sekhar, right? Because for Alfred the manager ID is 5, and Alfred is having department HR, but Sekhar is having department IT. So both are not equal, right? That's why we are getting this number output. Okay, so I hope I was able to cover these questions. Okay, if you like the video, then please subscribe to my channel and share it with your friends and comment it on the channel. Okay, we will meet in the next video with some interesting SQL question. Okay, till then, goodbye and thank you.